During the week of January 1st, 2003, I was having a conversation with Lieutenant Robert Camp, i.e. one of the shift commanders at High Desert State Prison. During this conversation, the subject of staff shortages came up and how dangerous things are becoming at this institution. Lieutenant Camp informed me that he had on several occasions attempted without success to bring the subject to Warden Shomig's attention, but Warden Shomig becomes upset, and on one occasion was quoted as yelling at Lieutenant Camp, quote, in large letters, "What's the matter with you? What part of no overtime don't you understand?" End of quote. It is common knowledge among correctional officers at HDSP that unless staffing levels at this institution was increased to already legislatively approved numbers, and very shortly there will be more incidents of violence. On Thursday, January 16th, 2003, on or about 6:58 p.m., a report of shots fired and a request for immediate assistance was heard over the radio for Unit 2 CD, i.e. a lockdown unit located in the High Desert State Prison. It was later learned that C-Pod in Unit 2 inmate Kedrick Powell, NDOC number, better known as a back number, 34212, was out of his cell for tier time. Inmate Powell had been sentenced to death for conviction of a crime in the first degree, and it is this officer's understanding that department policy dictates when an inmate is classified as death row walk alone and is out of his cell, there will be 2 officers present at all times, and one of these officers will be a senior correctional officer or above in rank, meaning a sergeant or lieutenant. That's me saying that, not what he said. Due to the standing orders of Warden Shomig that there was to be no overtime at all under any circumstances, this lockdown unit was staffed on this night with only 2 corrections officers, and neither officer on duty this night held the rank of senior corrections officer. During this time, 3 identified inmates in a special pod, in a separate pod, made their way to D-Pod, where they were also allowed out of their cells for tier time and made their way to C-Pod, where inmate Powell was. The 3 unidentified inmates, once inside of C-Pod, then proceeded to physically attack inmate Powell. I'm going to stop for a second. In the pods, there are 2 sections. They got Charlie and Delta Pod, and you can picture a pizza, best way to describe it. There's a wall in the middle, and in the wall there's an upper door and a lower door. You can go either side. And what happened was inmate Powell was on one side, and the other inmates had a door open, either top or bottom, came in and stuck him. The unit control officers, now I'm going back to reading this, the unit control room officer, i.e. CO Camden, at the time was forced into a position where he had to quell the assault in progress by discharging his duty weapon, i.e. a Remington Model 870 12-gauge shotgun. During this time, inmate Powell did sustain serious substantial bodily harm to his person. The condition status of 3 inmates who assaulted inmate Powell is unknown by this officer at the time of this report was written. Inmate Powell was subsequently transferred to UMC, i.e. University Medical Center, located within the city limits of Las Vegas, for treatment. Inmate Powell was transported via ambulance. It was later learned that the floor officer assigned to this unit, i.e. CO Ritchie, had failed to secure the office door in separate C-Pod and D-Pod. So, in other words, stop for a second. In other words, they didn't go through the doors I was standing in before. He went through the office downstairs. All 3 of these inmates made a mad dash into the pod. Had Warden Shomig not completely eliminated all overtime HDSP and had staffing been at already legislatively approved numbers, and had a senior corrections officer been assigned to this unit on the night of January 16, 2003, it is highly unlikely that inmate Powell would have been assaulted by 3 inmates while out of his assigned cell, and then shot by inexperienced correctional officers assigned at the unit control room with a 12-gauge shotgun. Supplemental information. Reference HDSP administrations did have prior knowledge of attack and lockdown of January 2003. On Tuesday, April 1st, 2003, at Correctional Alright, stop.